before the wand is raised, before the spell is spoken, before the light flares from tip to target. There is something deeper, quieter, older, a stillness. The greatest magic never begins in the hand, it begins in the mind, in the hidden corridors of the wizard's consciousness, in the silent realms of thought, emotion, and will. There lies a power far older than incantations or wand lore, a power whispered about in the forgotten scrolls of Babylon, the sacred chants of the elves, and the veiled rooms of Hogwarts. This is the story of that hidden magic, of trance, of vision, of magical meditation, from the mind arts of occlumency and legilimency, to the elven silence of Lothlórien, to the astral travels of ancient mages. This is the forgotten lore of magical consciousness. Welcome to the Forgotten Mage. In the world of Harry Potter, most magic is cast outward. A flick of the wand, a shout of Latin, and something in the world changes. But there are forms of magic so secret, so intimate, that they take place entirely within the mind. Occlumency, and its mirror, legilimency. These are not spells in the traditional sense. They are disciplines, mental arts. The ability to shield one's thoughts from intrusion or pierce into the thoughts of another. Snape, perhaps the most formidable occlumens of his age, describes it coldly. The mind is not a book. It cannot be opened at will and examined at leisure. But for the skilled legilimens, like Voldemort or even Dumbledore, it often can be. Legilimency is the art of entering another's mind, reading emotions, memories, and perhaps altering them. This makes occlumency not just a defense, but a vital magical meditation. To practice it is to still the mind, to lock away emotion, to bury memory beneath crafted illusions, to create a mirror too smooth for thought to pass through. In teaching Harry occlumency, Snape demands that he clear his mind, a phrase repeated again and again. But Harry, volatile and emotional, struggles to enter even a light trance. He is wide open, vulnerable, a mind without gates. "You're just like your father," Snape snarls, "weak, undisciplined." But we might ask, what is it really that Harry lacks? It isn't power, it's stillness. The same stillness Snape learned to survive abuse, the same stillness Voldemort mastered to become unreadable, the same stillness Dumbledore uses to see everything while saying almost nothing. In this way, occlumency becomes the wizarding world's version of mental mastery, a kind of magical meditation that separates the wise from the reckless. It is the art of not reacting, of containing power behind silence. The true spell is never cast. It is kept within. If J.K. Rowling's magical minds are shaped by trauma and secrecy, Tolkien's are shaped by eternity. The elves, especially those of Lothlórien, exist in a state of constant internal awareness. Time flows differently for them, and so, too, does thought. In the Fellowship of the Ring, when the company enters Lothlórien, Frodo describes the experience as stepping into a world that does not breathe the way the rest of Middle-earth does. The trees are alive. The air is golden. The silence is not emptiness, but presence. And Galadriel, the Lady of the Golden Wood, does not need to speak aloud. She enters minds. She knows thoughts. Her gaze alone is a trance. Do not trouble your hearts overmuch with thought of the road tonight. Maybe the paths that you each shall tread are already laid before your feet, though you do not see them. Tolkien doesn't call it legilimency, but the mental communication between Galadriel and Frodo is unmistakable. It's not violation, it's resonance. And this is a key difference. While legilimency often forces entry, Elvish mind speech is an invitation. It requires stillness, receptivity, a meditative alignment of thought. Gandalf, too, meditates. In the Silmarillion, we learn that the Istari, the wizards of Middle-earth, are not mere conjurers. They are Maiar, angelic beings sent to guide. Gandalf's true power lies not in fireworks, but in his judgment, his restraint, his inner sight. There is a moment in the Two Towers when he returns as Gandalf the White. He stands before Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and he is changed, not just in clothing or power, but in demeanor. "Indeed, I am Saruman, one might almost say," he whispers. Saruman as he should have been. This is no mere transformation, it is an awakening, the result of a spiritual death and rebirth, the passage through shadow and into light. And what lies at the center of that journey? Silence. Stillness. A cosmic kind of trance. Before Hogwarts, before Lothlórien, there were the temples of Ur, the pyramids of Karnak, the mystery schools of Delphi and Eleusis. The first mages did not carry wands. They carried rituals. And among those rituals, the most sacred was always the trance. In ancient Babylon, priests would fast for days, then lie in dark rooms lined with stars, inhaling incense and whispering chants, waiting for the gods to speak. These weren't hallucinations. These were visits, bridges between the seen and unseen. In Egypt, the Heka, the word for magic, was also the name of a god. He embodied the power of utterance and intention, the shaping of reality through mental force. To enter trance was to speak with the dead, to dream with the divine. In Greece, initiates of the Eleusinian mysteries underwent spiritual death and rebirth through silence, symbols, and an inner journey into the unknown. These weren't just religious rites. They were technologies of the soul: meditation, trance, controlled breathing, fasting, rhythmic chanting, and sacred geometry. These were tools to unlock vision. And just like occlumency or Elvish thought speech, these traditions teach one thing: that magic begins not with action, but with attention. One of the most curious magical objects in the Harry Potter universe is the pensieve, a basin that holds not just thoughts, but entire memories, extractable with a wand. But to use it is not to observe from the outside. It is to enter, to fall into the memory, a visual, sensory, emotional reconstruction of past moments. This is more than magic. This is a kind of dream walking. Dumbledore uses the pensieve constantly, not to manipulate, but to reflect, to revisit what was, to see patterns invisible in the present. It is, quite literally, memory meditation. It is the unknown we fear when we look upon death and darkness, nothing more, he tells Harry. But the pensieve shows us when we truly look without fear, without ego, we can see beyond. Dumbledore, we realize, is not just the greatest wizard of the age. He is also the greatest observer. He watches, reflects, studies, listens. In this way, he embodies the ancient principle shared by elves, Babylonian priests, and meditators alike, that wisdom begins in stillness. Let me ask you this: if you could look into your own mind, your memories, your fears, your truths, as clearly as Dumbledore does through the pensieve. Would you dare? Do you think magical power should be earned by mental discipline, or is it just raw talent? Tell me in the comments, which would you study? Occlumency, Elvish mind speech, or ancient trance magic? I read everything, and the best answers might just inspire the next video. Now let us step back. What do all these traditions, Hogwarts mind arts, elven trance, Babylonian vision, have in common? Silence. The truest magic never shouts. It whispers. It is the quiet knowing of Galadriel, the buried grief behind Snape's eyes, the unspoken memory in Dumbledore's pensieve, the stillness before Gandalf raises his staff. And in every case, it is the mind that becomes the wand. Today, magic in pop culture is often explosive. Wands slashing, bolts flying, heroes shouting spells across battlefields. But the deepest, most ancient magic is silent. It is the trance of the forest, the meditation of the mage, the inward gaze that sees beyond sight. When we read Tolkien or Rowling carefully, we find that the most powerful characters are often the quietest. Dumbledore, Galadriel, Gandalf, Snape. They are not loud. They are not brash. They are attuned. They listen more than they speak. They think before they act. They gaze before they strike. They have trained their minds like swords, sharpened not with noise but with discipline. In this way, magical meditation is not just fantasy. It is a mirror, a reminder that even in our world, this loud, burning, buzzing world, there is still power in stillness. They called him the Forgotten Mage, not because he was weak, but because he was still. Because in a world of shouting spells and flaring wands, he closed his eyes and listened. He walked without sound. He cast without words. He saw what others could not. Because he knew what the ancients always knew, that the mind, quiet, focused, empty of ego, is the greatest spell book of all. So remember, before the wand is raised, before the spell is cast, before the light leaps from your fingertips, close your eyes and go inward. The magic begins there.